So, how are all of you doing with your stress? Are we finding ways to calm ourselves down, calm our limbic system down? Have you started a self care practice that you have incorporated into your day? Because it's a very important thing to do for your overall health and well being. So, let's talk a little bit more about stress and things that it can do to you, how it changes you. Um, I'm going to use the definition of stress from the Cleveland Clinic. If any of you are familiar with the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic, I worked there for 10 years in IT, so I'm actually very proud um, to be using their resource as the definition of stress. So they have it defined as stress is the natural reaction your body has when changes or challenges occur. It can result into many different physical, emotional, and behavioral responses. Everyone experiences stress from time to time. You can't avoid it, but stress management techniques can help you deal with it. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you deal with your stress and get you a self-care routine that can deal with the everyday stressors that we all get. Now, there are good types of stress. You know, that stress you get, like if you're like a roller coaster person, like you love roller coasters, that's actually a stress response. You know, you get that your pulse gets rapid, and you know you get very excited, and it's an acute, stressor. So it's short lived. It's when you have these stressors, even if they're acute, but if you have them constantly, this is the type of stress that we want to calm down. And when you go through stress, you get that. Many of you have probably heard flight, the fight, flight, or freeze response. That's caused by stress. That's your system actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, but we're living too much in that. Is the problem these days. We're not getting out of that mode. And with the meditations that I'm providing and some other helpful tips, I'm hoping that I can bring your stress levels down. I know it helps me. And the one way that I do that is I do what's called a Vedic meditation. Now, that's a mantra based meditation. So I sit and I repeat the same word for 20 minutes. And believe it or not, it has worked for me when other methods have not. I've never been great at like the breathing method where you just concentrate on your breath. That works for a lot of people too. But having a mantra really has worked for me. And I think people that are more neurodiverse, that have like ADHD or autism, on the spectrum, I think a mantra based meditation probably works better for them. I mean, most people that I've known with ADHD, mantra based meditation has worked. I did not look up any studies on that. So I'm just going by my group of people that I know, that I do have so many people in my life with ADHD. Um, and they say it works. Um, and I got my mantra from my meditation and energy healing teacher. It was based on my energetic level in the Vedic tradition. Now there's TM, which is transcendental meditation, where there's teachers for that too that can give you a mantra for your meditations. If you don't have a teacher but you want to give the mantra based meditation a try, you can use the old OM, which is actually the seat sound for your third eye chakra. You can use that. You can repeat that over and over again. You can also visualize like a white rose or a white lotus flower. You can actually visualize it like opening and closing as you're doing your meditation. So you might want to give that a try. Now, the thing about doing like a mantra based meditation or breathing type technique meditation is really any meditation that you're sitting, you're trying to, you think you're supposed to block out all your thoughts. Well, that's not really possible. Your brain doesn't work that way. Our brains are wired to always be doing something. There's always chatter. If there wasn't chatter, unfortunately, you would be dead. If you ask any monk that does this for hours and hours a day, they will tell you the same thing. It's what you're trying to do is get gaps in between your thoughts. And as you practice meditation, those gaps will get larger and larger. And it's a really interesting thing. I've been meditating for a long time, and I did fall off the wagon for a while. Right before COVID, I did, because I got angry about some things that were going on in my life, and I just kind of gave up. And before that, I had been meditating for 3 or 4 years, I believe, and it was really working. I was getting these huge gaps in between my thoughts, where my brain can do what it needed to do in meditation time, do some repair work. It also lights up other parts of the brain that we don't normally use, which is really cool. If you ever look up those videos on that where people get hooked up, like Deepak Chopra was one that got hooked up, and Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley, he got hooked up. So that was really cool, to see what they saw in the scans for that. If it was up to me, we'd be teaching kids meditation, like, as soon as we can. And I think schools should employ it too. I know there's a school in East Cleveland, because I used to live in Cleveland area, and there's a couple teachers that actually have done meditations with their students before they do any work in the morning and had success. There was a news report on that. I happened to see that, and I was just like jumping for joy. I was like, yeah, somebody who gets it, that is going to use tools that have been around for thousands and thousands of years. I mean, we're talking Vedic tradition stuff is over 5,000 years old, and it works. So why are we not using it just because we live in Western civilization? My energy healing teacher was one that always said, you don't want to give up Western medicine. You want to combine Eastern and Western philosophies and medicines to give you an overall holistic outlook on things. And it works. They can complement each other so much. It's not even funny. So let's move on. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I mean, probably most of you know that stress can affect your body. You can get rashes from stress. I know when I get real stressed, I get itchy, and it starts usually in my fingers or my feet. That's when I'm completely overwhelmed. I know I'm really in a bad place when I start getting itchy. And over the years, my stress has come out in different ways, and you might notice that as you age, that your body's like, oh, I found a new way to make you feel stressed. Let's have fun with this. It's not fun. So, like, when those things happen, I usually stop and do some breathing, do little mini meditation real quick, and get myself to stop itching. You can have cognitive responses. You can get really angry. You can get really depressed. You can get anxious. Because your body's like pumping all this cortisol through your body and other, hormones. Now, chronic stress is long-term stress that goes on for weeks and months. I think a lot of us are probably dealing with that. Especially with the world, we're not sure what's going to be going on. We got things going on all over the world. Other physical symptoms, you can get aches and pains, you can get chest pain, you can have problems sleeping. I know, like, when you're too stressed in your brain and you're just overthinking and you can't sleep. I combat that by either meditating or journaling. Now, this is where I will journal, because I'm not a big journaler myself, because I used to do journaling, and now I find that I usually only do it for gratitude and when I'm overthinking. Because when you overthink, if you get it all down on the page and be like, enough, I'm not going to think about this anymore. I got it all down on the page. I'm going to get some sleep, because you really need sleep to help with fight your stress. I mean, that's really, really important. And to find what how how many hours of sleep is best for you is something to really work on too, as far as self-care. It took me a while to figure out what mine is, but 7.5 hours is usually really good for me. Anything less than that, and I'm screwed up for the rest of the week, unfortunately. I get a lot of headaches from stress, so when that happens, I have to deal with that. I have to calm myself down. If you're stressed, you could be, tightening all your muscles, especially in your jaw area. You could be clenching your teeth or grinding your teeth at night. You could have digestive problems. I mean, I've had heartburn since I was 13. And I remember I told my grandmother about it because I thought that's what I had. What 13-year-old really knows about heartburn? You think old people have that. And she was a nurse. So when I explained it to her, that this burning, like, it felt like it was in my chest but not my heart, she goes, "Oh yeah, that's heartburn." She goes, "You're too young to have that." That's how stressed I was as a teenager. Of course, you can have high blood pressure. Even sex can be an issue. Your immune system usually gets weak and you get sick more often. I've been able to nip that in the bud because I went through, probably in my 40s is when I had that problem when it was related to stress. And that's when I was kind of just starting my journey in self-care and holistic stuff and meditation and reading about all kinds of different stuff. Of course, you can get panic attacks. It could be really sad. I talked about the depression, the anxiety. Behaviorally, you could get very angry. You could start coping by using alcohol, drugs, overeating. Overeating is mine because I don't usually drink. I might have a drink with friends every once in a while, but I have alcoholism in my family, so I tend to stay away from that. Although I don't really have that issue, alcohol doesn't really taste good to me. And it's like when I think about like I test myself sometimes. I think about, could I really be an alcoholic? Do I really want to force all this down my throat? Nah, it's not my thing. Thank God I didn't get that gene. Some people smoke. A lot of people smoke, especially when I was growing up. The smoking was like the biggest thing to help with stress and weight. All the women, they're drinking Tab. If you guys know what Tab is, it was like a diet soda drink way back in the early 80s. Like my aunt's 13 years older than me. She'd be smoking a cigarette and drinking Tab because she wanted to keep her weight down. So those were the two vices that she had. And you don't want to get addicted to this stuff. And you could get addicted to sex as far as stressors too. We just don't want to get into those coping mechanisms behaviorally, and things that cause stress. Work, something happens at work, there's an illness in the family or somebody dies, you have a problem with your partner, you're getting a divorce or you're separated or you have a big fight, money issues are a big one. Even going on a vacation can be stressful. I know moving. I moved to Florida a little over a year ago. And that was and I did it by myself. So that was the most stressful thing. I was itchy all the time. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing that I went through moving from Ohio to Florida. It was a big move. I dealt with movers by myself. I dealt with the person that was buying my house, and it was just not even close to a fun time. Even people retiring can cause stress. Having a baby. I remember when I had my son, that was very stressful. Why I was pregnant and after I was pregnant, because kids don't come with an instruction manual like when you're putting a shelf together. So that can be stressful, knowing what to do. Studying for a big test, getting ready for a work presentation, having arguments with loved ones. When you're overwhelmed, you have too much to do and not enough hours in the day to do it. or you get a lot of problems all at once. Um, Very mom-like kind of stuff. You got to deal with so much at the same time. And there's not really tests for stress. If you talk to your doctor about it, they'll ask you some of these questions about, well, what are you feeling? Or what's happening? How did um, but really just, you need to work on coping mechanisms that are healthy, your self-care, and that's why I created this channel, to coach you on those things, because I'm right there with you. And like I said, started meditation. I fell off the wagon when I got angry about something, which is not what you should do. You should keep on doing what you got to do. And if your body changes and the types of meditation or other tools with journaling or whatever you're doing is not working, then you need to find other tools. So we're going to keep exploring tools. I'm going to keep doing guided meditations with you to help you de-stress, and hopefully my voice is calming enough to help you do that, or at least that you're taking the time just to sit and listen to something and not worry about other things, like we talked about, having your private space to do these guided meditations. And if you start a meditation practice, a silent meditation practice, you'll have a nice space to do that. I'd be very proud of you if you did. Other things besides meditation, there's yoga. Lots of people love yoga. I like Tai Chi and Qigong myself. When I worked at the Cleveland Clinic, they actually had classes for Tai Chi, so I was learning the long form, which does take a little practice to do, but it's very soothing on your body too, just like yoga is. Lots of smooth transitions into different poses, and I love it. I love Tai Chi. I should be doing it now. Like again, sleep, staying positive. I mean, ultimately we want to be positive all the time, but life sucks sometimes, and you're not always positive, and you need to let your feelings, you need to let yourself feel your feelings. A lot of times we're shoving stuff down, and that's not healthy either. That will help up your stress levels if you're not dealing with things. So, talk to, depending on what the issues are, talk to a good friend, talk to a life coach, talk to a therapist. I've been in therapy a couple times in my life. I've had a lot of childhood trauma that I've gone to people to just deal with. And I have big gaps in my memory from being, the trauma that I experienced at a very young age. So there are times I have to go back to the therapist because I remember something new that I hadn't remembered. And now that I'm in my 50s, I do a lot of reflecting on my past life. And because of my move to Florida and why I moved here, so I've been thinking more about why I moved to Florida and the person, involved with that. And, there's a lot of more things have come up that I've remembered that I didn't remember before. And they weren't all the traumatic things either. They were just like things from high school and and how I think about it differently now, being older than versus, how it was back when I was a teenager, and you don't see the different aspects of it. So, find a trusted friend, or, hire me. I'll talk to you. I'll listen. I'm a good listener. I do have a degree in behavioral science, and I do want to get my master's in counseling. So those are one of my big life goals. Even in my 50s, I want to go back and get my master's and be a counselor, because I'm very good at listening. Not so good at talking, as you notice. But hey, we all have our things that we're good at and not so good at. Although I'm more of a jack of all trades kind of person, so I know a little bit about a lot of things, but not an expert in anything. Other things that causes stress is if you're a people pleaser and you can't say no, learn to say no. It is okay to say no. Believe it or not, people are not going to die if you say no. That you can't help out with somebody's birthday party, or somebody's bachelor party, or bachelorette party, or whatever party. The church, it's, don't let people get you down if you say no. We all have to have boundaries. We all have to be assertive. I didn't learn how to be assertive until I was halfway through my 40s. Because boundaries and assertiveness is not something we talked about in the 80s, the 70s and 80s when I was growing up, or even in the 90s. It's something I had to learn along the way, actually from a therapist. And best thing I ever did is learn to say no. And I don't feel guilty, and you shouldn't either. Because it's about being healthy, taking care of yourself, and loving yourself enough to do that. So if you have problems saying no, I'll say no for you. Just let me know. Okay. So I think that's the topics I kind of wanted to cover about stress, because I really hadn't gone that much into it. So I want to do a quick, I don't know how quick it's going to be. We could do it quick. We could do the basic, because I want to do a chakra balancing meditation. And we have 7 major chakras in our body, starting at our spine, ending at the top of our head. They're energy centers. And science has finally said, okay, we acknowledge that our bodies do have energy centers. So, starting at the bottom, we have the root chakra. We have then the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. Now, there's many layers to chakras. They have a color, they have a seed sound, they have a sound, like a tone if you're using sound healing. That helps with certain chakras. And I will be doing some sound at some point. But I think we're just going to start with the basics and work on, you can do color energy healing, you can do sound energy healing, you can do seed sounds, you can do affirmations. There's an affirmation with each chakra too, which, like I said, I'm going to build upon this particular meditation to help you balance out your chakras, which will help you de-stress. It'll help your systems to get balanced, because chakras correlate with the organs in your body and the systems in your body. They're like the main things you want to balance. You have meridians running through your body, which are like roadways. And sometimes you want to trace the meridians, which is a whole nother thing that we'll get to eventually. But I want to work on most energy healers saying, if you're going to do anything quickly, it's work on your chakras. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I have planned 5 different guided meditations that build upon this basic chakra meditation. So stick with me, and we're going to have some fun with this. You're going to get relaxed. I'm telling you now, you're going to be relaxed. And hopefully you have, you're in your area where you're going to do your self-care practices, your guided meditations, and hopefully add a basic mantra-based meditation or breathing-based meditation. And hopefully if you've watched my previous videos where you do the white sheet to clear your space of any negativity. Hopefully we've all done that. I think I'll do that right quick while I'm still talking to you. So get comfortable, whether you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting on the floor on a pillow. If you're in a chair, both feet flat on the floor, not crossed. Because we want to ground. We'll do a little grounding first, and then I'll go into the chakras, and we'll see what we're doing here. Okay, I'm going to shift a little, and we're going to rub our hands together. We're going to shake them out. We're going to rub them together again, because our hands are electromagnetic, and we're going to put them on our thighs. That's going to help you ground. And I've talked before about grounding, how you can ground taking walks in nature, walking barefoot on the grass, or standing barefoot in the grass, swimming, eating root vegetables. I know a friend that has a hard time grounding. She actually has to go outside in bare feet and get the hose out and stand in, like make a little pool in her puddle, like a puddle, big puddle of water, and that's how she grounds. I know I've mentioned I have a tuning fork to help with that because I tend to have problems grounding because I'm too busy connecting upward, trying to open more chakras above my head. So, with your hands on your thighs, you might feel that you're more connected to the earth. If not, visualize you have roots coming out of your feet that are going into the earth. And they're just penetrating through each layer of the earth, the grass, the dirt, sand or rock, depending on where you live. I'm on sand here in Florida. Just going down, down deep into the earth. Till we get to the center of the earth, or you might feel a nice cool pool of water. You might see like a big quartz crystal that's the core of the earth. We're just going to let the roots either touch the quartz or go into the cool water, and we're going to pull that energy up through our roots, up through each layer of the earth, till we get back to our feet. Whew. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. Let it out. Bring that energy up into your feet. To your ankles, up to your calves, into your thighs, to the base of your spine, where your root chakra lives. Now visualize a red circle, ball-like thing. Notice what color red it is and the size of it. Is it spinning? In which direction is it spinning? So we want it to be a nice, brilliant color red. We want it to be spinning clockwise. And let's just make it a little bigger. Think of the size of your fist. We're going to let that spin. And you might be able to feel a change. I'm going to help you energetically with this. Because if you've had trauma or lots of stress, your root chakra, usually your root and your sacral chakra, may be a little smaller than they should be, and they might not be spinning the right way. They could be spinning counterclockwise, and we don't want that. We want them to spinning clockwise. So keep visualizing that that's what's taking place. And give me a second here. Just keep breathing and visualizing that. put the intention out of everybody's root chakra being healthy and spinning the appropriate way as it's getting fed by the earth. And then we're going to pull that energy up a little higher, just below the belly button. Where the sacral or sacral, some people say, chakra is. And that is the color of a brilliant orange, like an orange from Florida. And again, that should be spinning clockwise. Now, if you want to visualize something else orange to help you, that's wonderful. I will set the intention of everybody's sacral chakra being open and a brilliant, beautiful orange color and spinning clockwise. Now we're going to pull the energy from the earth up to our solar plexus chakra, which is above the belly button, below the ribs, and it's usually where you, like if you're a person that gets a lot of gut feelings or feel like if something happens, like you feel like you got gut punched, that's your solar plexus reacting. So that's about how you present yourself in the world and how things affect you. And that's a brilliant color of yellow. So think of the sun. Again, it should be spinning clockwise. And if you choose to like eat based on your chakras, you would eat things that are the same color. So you could be eating yellow peppers. Anything from the ground that's healthy, that's yellow. I set the intention for everybody's solar plexus chakra to be brilliant yellow, just like the sun. It's healthy and spinning clockwise. So next we're going to pull up the earth energy into our heart chakra, which is in the middle of our chest. And it is the color of green. Believe it or not. Think of green leafy vegetables. And if you can feel all your chakras that we have done so far, they should all be like the same size. So if you want to visualize all your chakras being the same size, that's wonderful. We're going to let that heart chakra open and spin clockwise. And feel the unconditional love that we got from the earth. We'll move up to our throat, which I think is self-explanatory. Our throat chakra, which is blue. A brilliant blue, not a dark blue, but a brilliant blue, medium blue. And if your throat chakra has been closed, most likely people do not hear you. You don't feel heard if your throat chakra happens to be closed. So if you feel like your partner isn't listening to you no matter what you say, your throat chakra is probably not working like it should. Now we're going to move up to our third eye, which is, if you go just slightly up from the middle of your eyebrows, it's right around here. And we're going to open that eye up with a beautiful purple color. And spin it clockwise. Let it hook up to all the rest of the chakras, bringing up all that earth energy through all our chakras and healing it, all the chakras. Your third eye is where your intuition is sitting, which comes from the pineal gland or pineal gland, depending on where in the country you are and how you pronounce it. And we'll move up to the top of our head, just slightly above where our crown chakra sits. And notice what color your crown chakra is. Now this can be slightly different. Some people see an indigo color. Some people will see bright white with gold flecks. So whatever you see is good. Just bring up that earth energy right up along all the chakras, right up into your crown. And that should also be spinning clockwise. This is what connects you up to the heavens, or source, or the divine, the Christ consciousness, the Christ light, the Godhead, whatever you call it. It doesn't really matter. I set the intention for all your chakras to be aligned, the same size, their beautiful brilliant color of the rainbow, and spinning clockwise. Take a nice deep breath. We're going to hold it for 4 then. 2, 3. And let it out. And breathe in again till you can't take any more breath, and then hold it for 4, and then exhale. Now we're going to raise your arms above your head. And just feel the air between your hands. You may tilt your head back slightly if you need to. This is called heaven rushing in. And since we activated the electromagnetics in our hands from rubbing it together, you should sense energy in this area coming down from the heavens, from divine, from source. The unconditional love that's there for all of us. I can feel it in between my fingers, coming down my arms, filling that whole space above our head. And let's bring our hands together and pull it in to into our crown chakra, into our wisdom center, which in Qigong sometimes they'll call it the wisdom center. And you can put your hands back out and you can gather more and bring it back into your head. And keep doing that until it feels like you're done, and bring your arms down to your sides, back onto your thighs. Take some deep breaths. You can roll your shoulders if you want, forwards and backwards. When you're ready, come back to the room, open your eyes, and I'm going to work on an affirmation card for you. And this is another self-care practice. We had befriending pain. The past 2 weeks we got the same card, befriending pain. When discomfort becomes a friend, my most limiting beliefs are healed. And I mean, obviously, I talked to Liz about this before, and after I did the video for it, I thought about it more, about what the card said. That, yeah, we don't want to be in discomfort, but sometimes when you let it go and let it be what it's going to be, which this card is kind of talking about, where it becomes a friend, then sometimes things dissipate. The discomfort might dissipate. Letting go helps in a lot of ways, and I've had to learn that over the years, that you can't control things sometimes. You just have to let things, go with the flow. You let it go, you let it be, and stop trying to force things, because sometimes we block the flow of energy. Everything is energy. It really is. We're energy. Science says that. And that's not just something, I'm like woo-woo about. I'll get upset about something, like, let's say, like, my boyfriend hasn't talked to me in a couple weeks. And it could be that he's just busy. And, once I let it go and not, like, really think about it or get down about it, then all of a sudden I get a text from him. So, we women need to really let things go. The things you control are yourself. And doing self-care practices is a good way to control yourself. So I'm shuffling the cards so we get our affirmation for the week. And I don't think we're going to get the same card this week. I had a feeling last time that we were going to get the same card. I don't think that's going to happen this week. But let's see as I see what we get flying out of the deck. Ask the universe what best suits, what card best suits the theme for this week. May I have a card, please? So I'm starting to get a hot flash. Menopause, man. Ugh. It's weird because your body gets older, but your brain, you kind of think the same. You don't really, you gain wisdom as you get older, but you don't think that you're old in your brain. Your body tells you you're old, but your brain doesn't really tell you that. I'd love to be like, have my 20-year-old body, but have all the wisdom that I have now and the perspective on things. All right. We have one that kind of flopped towards me. It's illuminating. I don't know if you can see it. Illuminating the truth. Oh, the light's really weird today because it's getting dark. And I keep all my blinds shut to keep the heat out. So we're illuminating the truth this week, which really goes good with working on our chakras and working on balancing them. And like I said, we're going to build upon this meditation every week. So, I am willing to see things clearly, no matter the outcome. I am willing to see things clearly, no matter the outcome. And that kind of goes with what I was talking about. Going with the flow, let it go. The outcome's going to be the outcome. You can't control everything, and sometimes things that we get upset about that don't work out, sometimes something better down the road happens. You might not feel that way at the time, like what could possibly be better? If you pray to God, you pray to whoever, or what I do pagan prayer, what I call pagan prayer. Sometimes things don't work out for a reason. And you find out later why, typically. In my experience in life, being a 50-something-year-old woman. Especially in, relationships, you'll really kind of see, ooh, I really dodged a bullet, people say, with somebody that you might have been dating or wanted to date. I know I found out, years ago, there was somebody I wanted to date, and some other girl that I think I didn't like at the time. I thought she was just not an authentic, real person. I'm real big on just being who you are, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And this person abused her. And then I was like, I think I ended up befriending her and being like, you need to get away from this guy. I will do whatever it takes to help you, because nobody deserves to be abused. That's one of my things from being abused in childhood. I was the girl on the playground pulling guys apart from fighting when I was 7, 8 years old. I don't know why I was doing that. I'm lucky that I never got hurt, because the guys would always stop, try to push me out of the ways, but I always got in the middle of them. So I've always been an advocate for things like that. But just remember, sometimes when things don't work out, it is for the best. And you need to be grateful for that. Whether you can see it now or not. No matter the outcome, you're willing to see things clearly. And that's real helpful to keep your stress levels down. See everything clearly. Don't hide. Speak your truth. Be authentic. Be real. Practice your self-care every day. I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care.